Hello my dear students, hello ninth graders, how are you? كل عام وانتم بخير وان شاء الله رمضان شهر فضيل وشهر سعادة وشهر كله خير. هلا this week will be a revision for the whole material in the final exam. Let's take this example. Solve the following quadratic equations by factorizing. Now we have this equation x squared minus 9x plus 14 equals 0. This is a quadratic equation. Why? It's a quadratic equation because it has x with power of 2, x squared. The highest power here is squared. That's why we call this equation a quadratic equation. Now, be sure that the other side equals 0, yes. Now we can factorize this quadratic equation. How? Look for two numbers. If you multiply these two numbers, will be 14, and if you add these two numbers will be negative 9. If you add two numbers will be negative 9. So the product will be 14 and the addition will be negative 9. What are these numbers? If you multiply them 14 and if you add them negative 9, and note that this is a positive, this is negative, so these two numbers must be negative because if you multiply two negative numbers will be positive. These two numbers must be negative 2 and negative 7. Why negative 2 and negative 7? Because if you multiply negative 2 times negative 7 will be 14, and if you add them, negative 2 plus negative 7 will be negative 9. So we are looking for negative 2 and negative 7. Now open two brackets equals 0. This is x, negative 2 and negative 7. Hi, negative 2 and negative 7. You can switch. Negative 7, negative 2 equals 0. Now, the first two brackets equals 0. Here, x minus 2 equals 0. Or x minus 7 equals 0. Here, plus 2, x equals 2. So the first value of x is 2. Now, the second one, plus 7 high cancelled, x equals 7. So here x could be 2 and 7. Let's take another example. X squared minus 2x equals 35. Here this side is not 0. You can send 35 to the other side by negative 35. This is negative 35. High cancelled. Here bring down x squared minus 2x minus 35 equals 0. Now look for two numbers. If you multiply them negative 35, and if you add them negative 2, this is negative. One of them must be negative, the other must be positive. I think negative 7 and 5 are working. Why? Because here I will do it mentally. Negative 7 times 5, negative 35. Negative 7 plus 5, negative 2. So yes, these two numbers, negative 7 and 5, open two brackets, equals 0. X high minus 7, x plus 5. Negative 7 and negative 7, 5. Now, x minus 7 equals 0 or x plus 5 equals 0. Now, send 7 to the other side, x equals 7, and here send 5 to the other side by negative 5. I positive, okay. So here or x equals negative 5. So here we have two values of x. X could be 7 or x could be negative 5. Now, third example, x squared plus 11x plus 10 equals 0. Yes, 0. It's a quadratic. Now, look for two numbers. If you multiply them, 10 and if you add them, 11. 1 and 10. We are looking for 1 and 10 because 1 times 10, 10. 1 plus 10, 11. And this is positive, this is positive. These two numbers must be positive also. So here, open two brackets, equals 0, high x, plus 1 plus 10. The first brackets must be 0, equals 0, or the second bracket, the x plus 10 equals 0. Now, negative 1, high cancelled, x equals negative 1. Here, negative 10, high negative 10, x equals negative 10. So here, we have two values of x, negative 1 or negative 10. Now, the last example, the same thing also. Here, if you multiply them 20, if you add them negative 12, if you add them negative 12, this is positive, this is negative. These two numbers must be negative. What are these two numbers if you multiply them 20 and if you add them negative 12? Try negative 10 and negative 2. Now, negative 10 times negative 2, 20, yes. Negative 10 plus negative 2, negative 12, yes. Now, open two brackets, equals 0, x, high negative 10, negative 2. Now, x minus 10 equals 0, or x minus 2 equals 0. So here, these two brackets must be 0, or x minus 2 equals 0. Now, send negative 10 to the other side, the x equals 10, or send negative 2 to the other side, x equals 2. So here we have two values, x equals 10 or x equals 2. This was a revision for how we can solve quadratic equations by factorizing method. Thank you for listening and have a good day.